Welcome to Spotlight in Business. I'm Tammy Defoe, president and founder of GTApreneurs, and I would like you to meet Elena Petrescu. She is a body language expert and certified hypnotist, and she will be the guest speaker at GTApreneurs May 28th business networking event in Vaughan, Toronto border. And we have all the information to register below. And before then, let's get to know Elena a little bit. So thanks for coming on the show today, Elena. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me, Tommy.
You're very welcome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to your presentation on the end of the month. I know that you provide a lot of great value for business owners, right, to help them get more business. So tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, so I have a background that before I came to the body language, I'll quickly tell you a little bit about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have a financial background. I graduated and I have a degree in accounting and business. I had a business for 22 years in accounting. Back in 2011, one client made a huge difference in my life and made me change my career altogether, simply because I noticed he had a limiting belief when I was telling him that I can literally give him a $15,000 refund. All we had to do is do some adjustments and send that into CRA. That's when I realized I had that aha moment, and I realized I need to understand how the mind works so I can help people, so that when I encounter something like this, I'm able to help that individual.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I trained as a hypnotherapist. I understood now how the mind works, how we operate. And then I realized that working with clients, when we experience trauma, what really happens is we go through shame and pain, and we have difficulty expressing that. So I wanted to understand them without them having to speak to me. So that's when I learned body language. I took a training with Body Language Center in Belgium. I did so well in the training. They offered me the partnership. Now I have the partnership for the entire Canada. And what I do now is help business owner integrate body language so that they can grow and scale their business using nonverbal communications.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I mean, I think most of us have heard that. I think it's like 80% of communication is nonverbal.
Correct. It's just over 80%.
Right.
And we we want to understand 80% of the 200 lies we hear every day, which is a lot. That's the average that people, say on a daily basis.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's definitely important for, all kind of reasons, right? To, yeah, kind of see people's intentions, but just giving that air of confidence. Like I know that I've been hosting networking events for 4.5 years now, and you've been to our events, your exhibitor events, you're a member. And so we've both seen that some people, they kind of go up and they're kind of like really kind of shy, or they're shifting or something like that, right? And that, and other people are really confident out there. So, how people's body language makes a difference. So some people just are not aware of that, or they don't know how to, they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to get out of their own head to make sure that what they're presenting is what they would like to be presenting.
That's right. We have to be in congruence with our words, because body language teaches you really how to listen and observe simultaneously at the same time. That's
Mhm.
very important, because we tend to think faster than we speak. So we have to pay attention more to the body. And what we tend to do is pay attention more to the words. And the words is only 7% when it comes to
Exactly.
communications.
Right, exactly. I thought it was, yeah, exactly. Not 20%, it's actually 7% is the words. So, and with like the Maslow's hierarchy of learning, we only remember 20% of what we hear, actually, too. So,
Correct.
yeah, so it is the whole picture and stuff. And even when you're on the one-on-ones with people, that it's good to know that. And yeah, so you mentioned with going from accounting to, like body language. It seems really like two different, worlds. So, tell us a little more detail about how you made that shift.
So as an accountant, I had a client who came in, and I looked at his past 5 years. He was a brand new client. I noticed he was limping and he did not claim the disability tax credit.
Mhm.
And looking at his income, he qualified for it. And I said to the person, I said, all we have to do is apply for it. Once you get it, we can go back 5 years, and you're looking at an average of $3,000 a refund. I mean, 3,000 times five, that's a chunk good of money. And I offered this to do for him. I said, I will only keep a percentage, 1.5% of whatever the government gives you in terms of disability tax credit.
Mhm.
And I mean, to my belief, I mean, I was so surprised that this person said, well, I don't want charity from the government. You know, I'm independent, I work for myself, and I really don't want any charity from the government. I tried to explain to the person that, you know, this was rightfully his, it's not charity, it's not, no, but it's not a handout. And I was not able to convince the person. I realized that, you know, this was a limiting belief around money. And I wanted them to understand, okay, why do we think the way we think? Why do we do the things that we do? And that's when I realized I really needed to understand more how we do things. So I went and I trained as a hypnotist to
Mhm.
understand more, you know, why we do the things we do, how this operates, because, you know, once we understand what happens here, we are able to change our desired outcome. We are able to change everything around us.
Mhm.
So that's when I trained in hypnosis. I started working with people using hypnosis. I also took a course with University of Kennedy. I trained in trauma, and I realized that during trauma, everybody is affecting everybody differently. But one thing that was very specific is when we experience that, it has to do with shame and pain, and we are not always able to express it in words. So I needed to be able to understand my clients and not, you know, without them having to express it as much. I didn't want them to go through that experience again. So then I did some research. I found Center for not Center, Center for Body Language in Belgium, and I trained in body language. I became a body language expert. I did so well in in their tests and their exams and all the practices that we did, and they offered me the partnership program, and that's when I started using that and integrating that into my practice as well. Now, since I've done that just myself, I was able to increase my income. I was able to double my income, and also help other people understand body language and how we can integrate it in our daily routine. So that's pretty much, you know, that's how the shift happened. It
Yeah.
was unexpected. It was not something that I ever dreamed of, but you know, it just happened.
Nice. Yeah, and that's amazing to hear that how you helped the person who had that mindset to change it, because I know, several people have come across in the last year even that, we can see that they're actually kind of holding themselves back, because of
Yes,
how they're looking at something. And some people it's hard to, you can kind of try to say something, but they don't quite get it. And they're really just hurting themselves.
absolutely. We do things and we don't even realize that we're doing it. It's an unconscious process, and body language brings awareness to it. Once we are aware in every instance out there, when let's say we go to meet a client, the first thing that we want to understand is what is that client really communicating to me?
Mhm.
And we have to have an outcome in mind. I want this to happen from this meeting. And if we notice certain negative emotions on that person's body language or their facial emotions, we need to change our body language and our words so that we can have that win-win situation.
Mhm.
And this is why body language is extremely, extremely important when it comes to communication. So if we want to build authentic communication, what authentic communication means is being able to read the person's body language. So you understand what they're really feeling and thinking without them having to express it in words. That's
Right.
basically what body language is. And you know, Tammy, you know this as a business owner, we are being judged in the first 2 seconds that we meet someone. So
Mhm.
we want to project the correct body language, and with the words have to be in congruence with our body language so that we can become the only logical choice. So that person can trust us, and when they trust us, when we build trust, that's how we grow our relationships, and that's how we build authentic relationships.
Mhm. Fantastic. Yeah. And so can you give us a recent example of a client you've helped? Like kind of where were they at and then how were they after you helped them?
Yeah. Actually, I have a few video testimonials, but I'll give you an example. Helga, she went through the micro expression trainings, and a few weeks later, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, she didn't actually specify the exact time in her testimonial to me. She met with this individual who was trying to sell her this program that was over $5,000. And during their conversation, she noticed certain negative emotions because she went through the training. So she did not opt in to have, she did not opt in for the program. It so happened that 3 weeks later, the gentleman, they had another interaction, and he says, well, just as well, you did not opt in because it wasn't really as authentic as I had thought it would be. So, I just wanted to run that by you. So then she quickly sent me a testimonial, and she said, Elena, if I hadn't gone through this, I would have probably invested the money and I would have lost over $5,000. And that's just one of the video, one of the testimonials. I do have video testimonials that I can show you. When I present, I will be showing a video testimonial so that people can relate to someone else's outcomes and results.
No, that's fantastic, And I know that a lot of business owners, they're always looking about how can I get more business? How can I get more sales? So how does what you do tie into how you can help them with that?
So body language helps you identify, like I mentioned earlier, 80% of the 400 lies we speak every day. So it's spread into a couple of, so first is the facial emotions. And facial emotions are universal. Everybody shows them the exact same way. And it is very hard to fake a facial emotion simply because it comes from the limbic system. What the body feels, the face will project. And then, of course, it's the body, the shoulders, the torso, the arms, the legs, and especially the legs, because very few people notice what happens with the legs. But again, all of that tells you a story when we meet with someone. It's also spacing, when someone invades your space, you feel a little bit uncomfortable because, certain things people don't feel comfortable when they're being invaded. But it's paying attention to the facial emotions. And because what we have in body language is you have to look at the context, of course. You cannot assume that everybody is lying. We look at the context, and then we pay attention to the facial emotions. Once you learn the 7 emotions, there are 7 emotions, and there are 26 variations. So it's mastering those 26 variation and then asking specific questions that will tell you, yeah, maybe that person is suppressing something that they may not want to reveal. And usually when we ask those specific questions, you have to ask yourself, why are they doing that? Because if they're doing that, that means we are taking them out of their comfort zone. And it's all about emotions. We have positive emotions and we also have negative emotions. And when the person is projecting positive emotions, that's a very good thing. But when you notice negative emotions, that's when you have to say to yourself, okay, why are they doing this? Is it my body language that's really projecting that? First, you have to go with that gut feeling, adjust your body language, adjust your wording before you continue that conversation. So that's one way of doing it. Asking specific questions, paying attention. Is it a positive? Is it a negative emotions? Why is this happening? I mean, if let's say you and I have an encounter and we are talking, but we are outside and it's like minus 12 degrees. And as we talk, all of a sudden, I do this or you do this. Is it because you're closing off to my conversation, or it's probably because outside is minus 12 degrees? So we have to take into account the context, right? What's happening in that moment.
Of course.
So I hope that gives you a little bit of,
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. No, I think it's good, so people need to, think about basically pay attention to other people's body language so you can see the impact that it's having. Like, so what you're saying and how your body language is, how is it affecting other people? Because if you're not getting the results you want, then you need to be changing your body language, right? And things like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's great because a lot of people, you
yeah,
know, some people come to our events all the time and they don't get any clients. Some people come to our events all the time and they always get clients. Some people
yes,
once in a while. So why is that? Right? So there is the art and skill of networking, right? Which comes in communication and so on. So that's good for people. You're able to give them some tips about how to get
yeah.
more out of networking and to get more
And
business.
if I can add one thing is like,
Mhm.
I mentioned that 7% are words, but what happens if you put the body language and the words, you can actually make strangers feel comfortable
Mhm.
and more cooperative, right? It's the
Yeah.
tonality that you use.
Mhm.
So and using the right words can trigger, emotions and can trigger actions in any subject. And we want to be pleasant. We want to show positive body language because that's what will be triggered from the other person back to us.
For sure. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks so much for that. So excited to be having you present for us on the 28th. I know it's going to be fantastic. So everyone, please do register for the event. The information is below. And thank you for coming on the show today, Elena. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you for having me.
You're very
Pleasure
welcome.
as well.